The only one that really matters, honestly, is July 11th because it's Free Slurpee Day.
Hard Rock.
In the first 5 minutes, I pick a team, and then within the next 2 minutes, I defend them fiercely with my life.
Hard Rock.
Honestly, like, he's half British. Like, he should, like, his kid should be playing soccer already.
Hard Rock.
Like, that's where you're supposed to go to die.
Hard Rock.
It's a whole can of old people. Nobody wants that. Not even for Christmas.
Hard Rock.
We should give each other x-rays, man.
Hard Rock.
Like, nothing distracts people more than, like, you know, Candy Crush or Quasi cupcakes.
Hard Rock.
You know, told him the deal. He's like, yeah, you definitely need an MRI. And I was like, man, I was just saying that, so I guess we're both doctors now.
Hard Rock.
I did not mean to hit the applause button, because you shouldn't applaud. I mean, you can applause that. You know what? It's the Hard Rock Lunchbox. You can applause anything you want here.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? It is time for another edition of the Hard Rock Lunchbox, and of course, it's Bastard Child, the top 20. How's everybody doing? Everybody be sure and bring their pride with them today. Yeah, let's get fabulous, everybody. It's always you know, it is never worth all the work to do that. It just isn't. And yet, still fun. And I realize I'm playing on a stereotype there with the fabulous, but I don't know if anybody saw the opening of Pride Month in New York City. You probably feel a little fabulous, too. I do not feel fabulous. In case anybody was wondering, thanks for asking. Yeah, welcome to the show. Pride Month, like, I guess this is going to sound like a real white male thing to say, but I don't always understand why we need, like, full months of stuff. Like, I get it, kind of, but, like, I just don't fully understand, like, the fact that we need a month for, like, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month. Like, the fact that we even need that, like, to remind us, like, that these things are important, I think is probably more the problem, and that is not your stereotypical white male answer, but, like, you know, I don't know if you ever, like, look around and see what national day it is, but, like, when you get to, like, National Donut Day and National Hot Dog Day, like, the only one that really matters, honestly, is July 11th, because it's Free Slurpee Day, and, like, we can all just kind of get behind that. But I understand that all these things are important because they create and maintain awareness, right? And they give some sort of platform on which to stand. Like, you shouldn't have to wait for Black History Month. By the way, the shortest month of the year. Very clever white people to, like, have Black history awareness. Like, I think it's kind of silly, but it's not. I'm not negating the need for it. I'm making fun of the fact that we need it, and that's where we are as a people. Like, we are still so shitty to each other that we require a month to remind ourselves about Black history and women's history and pride and all that other stuff. And honestly, I don't even know. Like, I know there's autism awareness is in there somewhere, and fine. I mean, fine. I just think it says more about us as a people that we need a month to remind us to be good people. Like, how about being a good person all the time? That's what I'm saying. I try and be a good person, like, once a week, roughly on Thursdays, kind of noon to 2, and I fail miserably every time, but at least I get right back up to bat. Speaking of that, Noodle's kid is playing T-ball, which I don't know how many parents we have out in the listening audience that have, I'm going to say, suffered through a T-ball season. But, man, it is one of the worst things in the world you can do as a parent to not only your kid, but also to yourself. Like, seriously, like, I would rather you just take, like go to any school, like usually like where they play handball, like go to the wall, take 10 large steps back, and then run as fast as you can into that wall. And that would be better for you than a season of T-ball. T-ball is Excruciating. I don't get to use a word like excruciating all that often, but this is what, like when they invented T-ball, the very next day, an astute parent invented the word excruciating. Because basically what it is a bunch of young kids that can't hit a ball, can't catch a ball, can't throw a ball, and they're all playing baseball, sort of. Like in it, just on a big stick, they hit the ball off it. Eventually, they usually hit the stick. And then like a bunch of coaches like have to take this stuff seriously, and some of them honestly get a little too carried away, which is always the funniest part for me. And don't get me wrong, I am the first parent in the audience to be like, "Ref, what do you like, blind?" You know, it's like just in my nature to just defend whatever team I'm defending. Like, that's what's so funny about whenever I watch the Super Bowl, because I don't watch football. I don't care. I don't really have time for sports in my life, and I'm not shitting on people that do. Like, if that's your thing, then that's your thing. I have other things. Like, I do the band, I coach the Hurricanes and stuff like that. That's me. And, like, honestly, like, I am way more interested in what's going on in our division in girls travel soccer than I ever will be in what is in the NFL. But when I sit down to watch the Super Bowl, which I end up doing almost every single year, in the first 5 minutes, I pick a team, and then within the next 2 minutes, I defend them fiercely with my life. But don't worry, 10 minutes after the game, I'm not even sure who played anymore, so it all just kind of works out. What's my point? I have no idea. But Noodle's kid is playing T-ball, and Noodle is miserable for it. And I keep telling him, like, soccer's a much better sport. And, like, you know, honestly, like, he's half British. Like, he should, like, his kid should be playing soccer already. He should have been grandfathered in. He should already be on Man City. So, like, I don't know how the rules work, but I feel like that's how it is. So I've been talking about soccer. I don't remember why I was saying that. It doesn't really matter. People, something. Doesn't matter. How do you guys feel about some light housekeeping? Top 20, new top 20 is out this week. I have been so slacking, and I so apologize. I apologize 100 plus 100 other % at my inability to get to respond to comments on there, and even like on the Bacon is My Podcast stuff. I have been so overwhelmed with work and life and like medical stuff, and I am just, and what I'm going to be talking about probably here some on the top 20. I have been completely overwhelmed. So if I have not gotten back or responded to anything, it is totally my fault, and I am very sorry. I am desperately trying to catch up. I find myself in a bottomless pit of a bunch of things that are going on right now, and I cannot catch up. But I'm trying. I'm desperately trying to catch up, and I will get there. But please feel free to like it and share it and subscribe and comment, and I will get to that eventually. But it is the one where I talk about, like, you know, some analysis of shows and stuff like that, where people are like listening and stuff. I also made fun of DeSantis, which, by the way, DeSantis this week on Fox said, like, not only will he win if he's the nominee, he'll serve 2 terms, and he will destroy leftism in America. I just want to be quite clear. If you have any politician that is ever like, I want to destroy the people that we don't agree with, like, you don't need that. That's what Hitler did. That's what Mussolini did. And honestly, DeSantis isn't even as smart as those 2 dudes. DeSantis is a big fucking idiot. And, like, he doesn't deserve to be the nominee for president. He doesn't even deserve to be the governor of Florida. Besides, he barely won that. He's also managed to basically ruin Florida in the past 4 years. I thought Florida was actually still doing pretty good, but it turns out fiscally, it's in hella bad shape. And retirees are having to leave Florida to find a better place to live. Like, that's where you're supposed to go to die, right? Florida, like, God's waiting room. They've been saying that forever. And now retirees have to leave because they can't afford to live in Florida anymore, because DeSantis is just screwing stuff up, which is typical of, like, the Republican legislature. And I'm not getting political. It just look at what happens, because Republican tax structures tend to favor the richer, because that's what they do, and the poor can basically go fuck themselves. Like, that's basically the Republican stance on stuff like that. And now it's happening in Florida, where you have a lot of retirees on fixed income. They can't handle this kind of nonsense. So anyway, don't ever ever, ever, ever vote for anybody that is like, we're going to destroy the side we don't agree with. And I'm telling you this, like, don't do it on the left, don't do it on the right. If that is your platform, like if some Democrat came up, like liberal Democrat, and was like, we're going to destroy Trumpism in America, like, as much of a good idea as that might sound like, that is the wrong platform to take. And I'm not a big high road kind of guy, but just solve my problems and solve what's going on right now. I don't need you to fights with other people. Like, I'll handle that on Facebook where it belongs. You just solve our problems. Like, DeSantis is worried about, like, the woke ideology in America. Like, we already went through this, and DeSantis' lawyer, his own lawyer, basically had to define it, just define wokeism as, like, people that realize that there's something systemically wrong and are urging and working within the system to change it. Like, honestly, like I keep saying here, everybody should be woke. And anybody that isn't is just arrogant, an asshole, or currently winning, which is basically, if you look at the DeSantis followers, you see like kind of older, middle-aged white people who've got it pretty good right now. But everybody else is getting screwed under that. And those white people are afraid that people are going to take what's theirs, not realizing that there's plenty for all of us. That's the big lie. That's the big problem. When you have white middle-class people just desperately holding on to the little pile of gold that they have, keeping everybody else out without even realizing that their pile of gold can get bigger if they just let all these other things happen. That's the myth with unions, too. People are always like, why do I have to have $1.25 come out of my paycheck every week to fund unions? Well, I got news for you, genius. Most people that are in unions that are paying that $1.25 are actually making an extra $4.50 an hour. So, like, doesn't that kind of make sense? But the people that are like, oh, no, it's mine, I want it. And they believe the lies that they're told by people that are, above them, because obviously people in power definitely have your best interests at heart, because you are a special, special boy. Man, DeSantis pisses me off, like, on the regular. Unbelievable. I really didn't want to talk about that at all. So, other stuff, Stranger Hit TV. That reminds me, I've got some Chris Waterbury videos I gotta watch. Chris, if you're listening, I will get to them, I promise. So they had a full interview this past Monday with Steve Pisani from Michael Kelly Guitars. I keep hearing the name Michael Kelly Guitars. I gotta be perfectly honest with you. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about the company. I just know that they're local and they seem to be hella supportive. I've never talked to them. I've never heard from them, so I don't know anything about it. So I might just try and watch that and learn a little bit. With whiskey chemistry and tasting, hangover cures, and fun show news, discussions and drinks from last night. I don't know about the 7 questions coming up, and I don't know if they're doing the Twitch live stream. I didn't see it posted at the time of this recording. Other show news, obviously the big shoe. June 16th at Mr. Beery's, it's going to be us, Craving Strange, Something Heavy, and Born of Scars. As I was going through possible ideas for the set list, I decided I didn't really want to play songs that we played the last time we played Beery's, so I printed them both up, because now that we're like really not playing a lot of shows, it's like I'm trying to like squeeze stuff in. Don't forget, like, Rebel 9 was a band that used to play 100 times a year, and now we're down to like 6, 7. Like, I'm probably going to add a couple of shows. I've been talking to a couple other people about adding another show. We have not been asked on any other shows for the year so far, so I don't know any of those. But I went to go do it, and I realized the last time we played Beery's was exactly 6 months to the date of the time we're going to play now. We're going to be playing June 16th, and our last show there was December 16th, and I was like, that's weird. But maybe it's Providence. I don't know. I do know it's going to be fun, and I'm trying to shape it to be fun. We've got a brand new cover that we're doing. We've got a brand new song that we're trying. And I'm actually just looking around at some of the older material that we just don't play all that often. And some brand new material, too, that we don't play all that often. I will say the 4 songs that we just recorded, none of them are going to be in the set, so please don't ask. But we are set to release Side Out probably in late July, so that'll be like our main kind of thing for the August show. And then we'll just be dribbling out songs after that. I've got a lot to do, and I have the linear time to do it, but what I don't seem to have is the I hope we get some older material. Yes, you're gonna get some older material, sure. So I have a lot to do, and I have the linear amount of time to do it. What I don't have is like the physical amount of time to do it anymore. And I will say, like, I've been dealing with a bunch of stuff medically, and I'm not being elusive. I just don't feel like talking about all my medical stuff because it's not so much that it's embarrassing, but like, honestly, like, I definitely keep some stuff private on this show, and that's cool, and nobody's ever busted my balls about it because I'm open about a lot of other things, and a lot of times it's really when I get ready to, like, talk on things. Sometimes I don't want to talk about things, like, while they're happening and stuff like that, but I've had just a parade of medical maladies this year, starting the day after our last show in March, and I've just been really laid up ever since, and it hasn't even been one thing. It's been like 4 things, major things that have required like doctor visits and imaging and some procedures and general anesthesia, like some major things that have been going on. And one of the bigger problems I've been having with it is that I don't know who in the listening audience deals like with medical professionals and deals with like the medical establishment as it is today. But it is really, really hard to work within the current confines of the medical thing, unless you're on like Medicare, unless you're like 65 or older, in which case everybody will take all of your jobs because they get to bill the government for whatever they want, which is always funny to me because, like, you know, old people are very protective of their Medicare, but they're also the first people to like put the kibosh on like student loan forgiveness. Like, you know, they're like, we earned this. Like, this is our social security. Like, no, you own your social security. This Medicare thing is getting really ridiculous, honestly. But that's another show, and I don't even want to get into it because it's a whole can of worms. It's a whole can of old people, and nobody wants that. Not even for Christmas. Not even for Jewish Christmas. What was the medical stuff, right? So it's like, I can't even go do something without having it approved by like several people. Like, I'll give you an example. It's not even that. Like, the approval is kind of annoying. It's manageable. Like, I understand, like, okay, if your insurance company is going to pay for something, they have to approve some things and don't approve other things. I don't necessarily understand why it is. I know that I've had several x-rays, and I have several more coming up. I know that I do not need approval to go to get an x-ray. In fact, Zwanger Siri, you can basically just walk in same day and be like, hey man, can I get this x-ray? And they'll be like, yes, or, you know, we're full today. But for an MRI, you need actual approval for your from my insurance company. And I've had to get a couple of those, and I'm actually awaiting another one right now. And I understand that that's the game. I think it's stupid. I think if a doctor that is in your network says this dude needs an MRI, you should just get an MRI. Like, I don't know. Doesn't that make sense to you? Like, your doctor that you told me to go see, you know, I didn't go to a shaman, right? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go do some ayahuasca and be like, you know what would be cool, man? Like, it's not like me and Jimmy sitting around like, you know what? We should give each other x-rays, man. You know, like, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I feel like I could talk Wayman into that. But Jimmy might be down for a couple x-rays. I don't really know. I don't know. It's not, of all the things that we've talked about, that's never really come up. But, like, I can see it. You like my weed impression? Is that accurate, Jimmy? It's always a no! Yeah, that makes sense. Got a puff pass like Marino. Yeah. The weed's so good, gonna wanna take 100 rips. Oh, wrong button. It's always a no! So anyway, if that's the game, it's stupid, but I can play it. T-ball's a stupid game. People play that. I can play this one. But what I've been really running into is people not doing their job. And I've been talking about this for a while, right? Like, people that are, like, working jobs, like, even in retail or, like, food service and stuff, like, they're on their phone. They're just not doing their job. They don't want to work. Nobody wants to work. Like, everybody hates the fact that they have to work for a living. Like, I get it. I guess I am just so old at this point. Like, I just remember when you worked, you had pride in the job that you do, and, like, you wanted to work. Like, you like those things. You did a job and you earned money. But a lot of people just want to, like, have money and, like, not earn it. Like, I gotta tell you, that sounds really awesome, but, like, it's not super fulfilling. I mean, I'd find a way to fulfill myself, like, phrasing, but, like, dude, man, like, I understand, but your parents aren't rich, and you're not an influencer, and you're not a hot chick, and, that sings for a band, and you're not any of those things, right? Like, you have to work for a living. Sorry. Like, you can play the lottery, and maybe that'll work out, or I don't know. I don't know. But, like, people don't want to work, and people don't want to do their jobs, and now the introduction of the phone, not that it's now, like, nothing distracts people more than, like, Candy Crush or Quasi Cupcakes if you're a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan, like, that kind of stuff. And people are just so distracted that they're not doing their job. And, like, the examples I wanted to give, like, I had a procedure last week that actually required pain medication. Like, I'm not a big pain junkie. I don't like pills. I don't like any of that stuff. But I needed pain medication, so they said they would call it in, the place that I went for this procedure. And they didn't. They just didn't even bother to call it in. So I actually had to go to my regular doctor. I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy. And trust me, there's zero boogies involved, but it is very itchy. So I actually had to call my on-call doctor and be like, yo, dude, they didn't even bother to send in pain meds. Like, pain meds, it's not like, hey, man, can you send over some stamps when you get a second? Like, pain medicine is for, what's the word? Pain, which tends to be urgent and excessive sometimes. So, like, I had to do that. But they just didn't even bother calling it in. And now my new example is I've been talking about this pinched nerve that I have in the back, in my neck. We're not even totally sure, but I have numbness in my hand. My index finger is numb all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every minute of every day. It's bad. It's a neurological problem, right? We don't know exactly what it is. So the first step is, because I did hurt my upper back, and I damaged my cervical vertebrae. The first step was to take an x-ray, which we did, and we saw that the cervical vertebrae was kind of problematic. But then we needed to get an MRI, right? Because that's how you tell, like, the soft tissue. So my chiropractor tried to get an MRI, but he's not in my network, so they said no. I went to my primary care doctor. She says it's probably not that and wouldn't give me an MRI, so I went to another doctor that was recommended to me for him to evaluate. So I went down there and I told him the deal. He's like, yeah, you definitely need an MRI. And I was like, man, I was just saying that, so I guess we're both doctors now. So they set me up with an MRI, but this was the Friday before Memorial Day. And I was talking to the woman. She's like, I can't do this online. I have to call, and nobody's answering. And I'm like, that's honestly fine. Insurance companies terribly difficult to work with, and I'm sure the Friday, mere hours before Memorial Day, they're probably not even there. I mean, a lot of people get off at like 3 o'clock on Fridays. I don't know. I don't understand how that works. I mean, it'd be really nice if I did, but I don't. I worked a full day on Friday because I'm just cool like that. So I understood, but like I expected like maybe Tuesday they'd go, Wednesday. So I call on Wednesday to try and like find this. They send me to somebody's voicemail, and still, I'm like, I tell the details. I'm like, I need this MRI, and now still nothing. So I have to call this morning, and I call again. I'm like, hey man, still a patient there, still waiting on this MRI authorization that only the doctor can make to the insurance company, so that I can go get this MRI that I've needed for now 8 weeks. And I've been in pain every single minute of every single day ever since. And all I really need is some magnetic resonance imaging to tell me what it is. We think it's herniated disc. We're not sure. And I need to know. And nobody seems to give a shit because they're playing Quasi Cupcakes. And honestly, that's not even what I came here to talk about. I wanted to talk about how much I suck and how much I'm slacking at doing the bare minimum I need to do for promotion and for pushing the band forward, and honestly just how bad I feel about exactly all of that. And I just cannot seem to find a way out because I'm just constantly drowning in all this other stuff. And that's just a couple of things that are going on. And I don't know how to do this anymore. I don't know how to push forward anymore. I kind of need somebody to like carry the water for me, for the band, for the scene even, for a little bit. I can't seem to make that happen. And it sucks. And I did not mean to hit the applause button, because you shouldn't applaud. I mean, you can applause that. You know what? It's the Hard Rock Lunchbox. You can applause anything you want here. That'll be just fine. Another good news, my good friend Annie Stoic from Jackknife Stiletto has revolved around the sun successfully one more time. Happy birthday, Ms. Stoic, if that is indeed your real name, and it isn't. But what better way to kick off the box with, I don't know, a song about a stalker.